Welcome back to Destin segment of Okaloosa Today. Now we're going to be joined by Councilwoman Prebble Ramswell, one of our brand new city councilors. We just heard from Councilman Rodney Braden. Now we have Councilwoman Prebble Ramswell.
Thank you very much.
Well, thanks for being here. It's exciting, always exciting to have some new faces around, new ideas. As we talked with Rodney about being new to council, you're not necessarily new to the area. And with that, we'd like to talk to you about who you are, where you've been, what got you interested in our government, and some of your perspective about council and the city. So let's kind of dive in there. You have an interesting background, a very diverse background in history, so let's talk about where you came from and your schooling and that kind of thing.
Sure. I'm actually from Texas, Houston. I went to school there, did a brief stint at the University of Texas, so college graduate from the University of Houston for my undergrads. While I was there, I coached swimming for many years. I did the collegiate level at Rice University and also did the USA Club team level. So very much enjoyed that. I was a swimmer myself, so it was a great way to sort of stay involved, and I've always loved working with children, so it was sort of a good way to do both. And actually journalism runs in my family. My father was a sports editor, so really being able to combine, a love of sports and just get everything together was great. But, one thing that I always felt was sort of missing was kind of stretching myself a little bit, and I always had a love of languages and politics and government and, the inner workings of everything. So I kind of thought, what is it that I would really like to do that I'm not doing? And the first thing that popped into my head was actually the CIA. And, everyone's like, the CIA?
Sure, that's just natural, the CIA.
Yeah,
Let's do
I know.
that.
And, my parents really were excellent at informing me, keeping me, in the loop on things in the world. And so I really have to attribute that to them. But ultimately it led to my accepting a position with the CIA, and I served up there for 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so swim coach, swimmer, journalist, CIA, it's sort of, I've run the gamut, so to speak.
I'd say, and that's actually very interesting. We don't meet somebody every day who has worked with the CIA. You mentioned your love of languages. You speak Spanish fluently and are involved in this community and others with helping with those kinds of things, right?
I am. I actually, at one point, I was speaking Spanish, Portuguese, and Italian. Of course, there's a lot of relationships between them all, but Spanish is the one that I've pretty much kept. But it serves me. I continue to do some work with languages, and I do voiceovers, but really probably my greatest gratification comes from working with children, and I help run our junior lifeguard program in Destin, and it's just fantastic.
Well, good.
Yeah.
That's a great way to give back to the community. We have a lot of kids here, a lot of great kids, and
for sure.
Swimming will be important to them in their life if they stay in this area. So it's
absolutely
important.
Skill everyone should have, especially growing up at the beach.
Very good. Well, let's kind of go into your involvement with the city of Destin. You got involved in the election process and won. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We're
It
glad
was
to
quite
have
an
you
honor.
here.
Surprise and an honor.
Well, we just want to know maybe what got you interested.
It was one of those things. As I mentioned, I'm involved in the community, and especially with a lot of the parents and the children, and I kept hearing, somebody needs to do something about this, or somebody ought to say something about this. And it reached a point where I kind of went, why not me? Someone's got to do something. Why not me? I have the availability. I have sort of a background. Let me give it a shot. And so I did, and just thrilled to death and couldn't be more honored with how it turned out.
And to kind of go a step further, what was your experience like with the election? This is your first stint in politics, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. The campaign process, I was warned that it was exhausting and a lot of people really didn't like it. I have to say I loved it. I really loved getting out there and meeting with everyone and really trying to find out the inner workings of the city and different issues. And for me, it really was an opportunity to learn more about the city and the people and what they wanted. And that was resoundingly the thing I heard was, we need a voice. The people here, the residents need a voice, and we don't feel like we have it.
Yeah. Well, very good, and I think Rodney resonated the same thing. You go through the process to get elected, but that process teaches you so much about what you're going to do if you do get elected.
Absolutely, and the forums definitely were a great way to also make sure you were prepared, because you never knew what you were going to be asked and what was going to come up, so it made it even more vital to really be informed and know the issues and what's going on, because we needed to be prepared to jump right in.
There you go, and you got to open your eyes to a lot of things that you might not have thought about beforehand, which brings me to my next question is, from your perspective now, what are some of the, what does the city really have going for it? What are some of our positives that you've seen?
You know, number one, we have a community that cares and wants to be involved in the process. And that is something that you can't find everywhere, and you certainly can't buy it. So to have residents that care and want to be involved is just absolutely pivotal. And having that, I think, is more than half the battle.
I totally agree. Working with the government as a staff member, it's really interesting to see that there are a lot of people who care, and clearly you and Rodney and our other counselors hear that on a regular basis. You're the mechanism for them to be able to get to us and to talk with their representatives of what they want.
Yeah,
that's
I
very
agree
good.
Wholeheartedly.
You know, with the positives that we have in the city, we also have our challenges, and some of those are dual. Some of them are positives and challenges. Rodney mentioned Noriega Point being a great positive, that we're going to get that point to a point where it's actually stabilized and protects our fishing fleet, but the challenge is getting to that point. What do you see as far as the city challenges go?
I think one of the things that we need to be very careful about, and we have to balance, is our need to serve our full-time residents, as well as the fact that we have visitors, and tourism is our number one industry. So it's a balancing act on how do you represent both while not, leaving one out or sort of overstepping your bounds. It's very much a fine line, but ultimately it comes down to serving our residents and what's going to be best for them. And along with that comes the challenge of making sure our infrastructure is proper. And Rodney brought up earlier the fact about the traffic, and that's certainly a major issue, as is stormwater. I think we're going to see that jumping to the forefront, especially as a result of the floods that we've had.
You're right, and I think you're on point with the challenge that we work with a budget for a community of about 12,000 people,
Yes.
and we serve tens of thousands more than that, probably 6 months out of the year. So you're absolutely right that that's a challenge, and something that we will look forward to working with you and Mayor Ponder and Councilman Braden and the others on to hopefully push us to a new level.
I hope so too, and I think we've got a great group to do it with.
I agree wholeheartedly. We're about out of time. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, I just thank you so much for having us out, and we're all, I know, thrilled to serve and are anxious to get some things accomplished and really serve the needs of the people of Destin.
Well, very good. We look forward to it. We look forward to working with you and the other council, and we'll have you back on the show sometime soon.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Sure. I want to thank you for watching, and if you need to learn anything else about the City of Destin, check out our website, cityofdestin.com. You can always call City Hall, 837-4242. Again, thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the City of Fort Walton Beach.